Hi students, we are in week 3, day 1, and today we're going to be focusing on integer subtraction. For the do now, make sure you submit any missing homework assignments and take out your math notebook for notes. As a reminder, there's no late work and the last day to turn in things is September, the end of the marking period. Objectives. Content. I can subtract positive and negative integers. So last week we talked about adding positive and negative integers. Today we're going to focus on subtracting positive and negative integers. Language objective, I can model integer subtraction by drawing counters and graphing on a number line. So we'll practice those skills again of counters and number line, but this time for subtraction. And social objective, I can check my partner's work at each checkpoint. For the agenda, we'll talk about the spreadsheet, then take some math notes, work on the worksheet, complete the exit ticket, and then fill out your planner. As a reminder, the spreadsheet is the fastest way to access all learning materials. So on the spreadsheet, you'll see that there's a video link for the instruction today, the Google Slides that were presented, the worksheet assignment, then the exit ticket, followed by the answer key, which will be posted later today. Remember, always do your work in this order. Watch the video first, then review the Google Slides, then work on the worksheet, and finally do the exit ticket. For extra credit, you may do either IXL or both. If you want an easier one because you think today's lesson was quite challenging, subtract integers using a number line. If you felt that today's lesson was too easy, try doing just subtracting integers by itself. And if you're ever having trouble logging in on IXL, reminder that you can find the sign in right here. And remember that we're grading our own homework. So deserve a check plus, check minus, or 0. And if you ever need help scanning your work and submitting on Google Classroom, here's a link to a video tutorial. And lastly, if you ever need to contact me for anything, there's my email contact. So let's get to taking notes. Make sure you take out your math notebook so you can take notes. And I'm going to do the main lesson for today on Jamboard. Before we jump into integer subtraction, let's review integer addition. In integer operations number 1 worksheet, you dealt with small numbers. But what if we have larger numbers like 50, 40, 20, 30, 100, 1,000, so forth? We need to come up with some general strategies. First, look at the two signs next to one another. So next to each other. Okay? So we're going to look at the two signs next to each other. Right here, the positive and the positive. The positive and negative. The positive and the positive. And the positive and the negative. After you look at the two signs next to each other, if the signs are the same, then the final sign will be positive. If the signs are different, then the final sign will be negative. So let's put that into practice. First step in the general strategies is to look at the two signs next to each other, positive, positive. Now, since they're both the same sign, we can change this to 50 plus 40. Same signs means we write a positive as the final sign. And for 50 plus negative 40, you look at the sign next to each other, positive and negative. The signs are different, therefore we write a negative in the middle, 50 minus 40. For the next problem, 20 plus positive 30, since they're both positives and the same sign, we can rewrite the problem as 20 plus 30. And then lastly, 20 plus negative 30, since the signs are different, we write a negative. So 20 minus 30. And if you want to visualize what this looks like as a counters method, by drawing counters, we won't draw 50 positive signs, but we can write 50 positives. And then we have 40 more positives. So we have 40 more positives. So you just imagine drawing 50 plus signs and then 40 more plus signs. You're going to get an answer that is equal to 90 positive. And for the second problem, let's say we use counters again. 50 positives. So let's say we have 50 positives. But this time we're subtracting 40, so we have 40 negatives. And if we cross out to make 0 pairs, 50 positives and 40 negatives, we're going to be left with an answer in the end of 10 positives. Because there's still 10 more positives than negatives. But let's say we want to do a number line instead. So let's say we draw the number line here. 20 positives, so let's say this is 0. We move over 20 to the right. And then we have 30 positives, so we keep moving over 30 to the right. And we're going to be left at positive 50 as our answer. And then for this next example, 20 minus 30, well, we start at 0. We go 20 to the right because it's positive. And then we go back 30 because it's negative 30. And we're going to be left with an answer that is negative 10. So, reminder that the general strategy is to look at the two signs next to each other. If the signs are the same, then we write the final sign as positive. And if the signs are different, we write the final sign as negative. Now let's take a look at integer subtraction using the same strategies. So I want to write those strategies again as a reminder so people do not forget, and it doesn't hurt to write them again. Look at the two signs next to each other. After you look at the two signs next to each other, if the signs are the same, then the final sign will be positive. And if the signs are different, then the final sign will be negative. So I'm going to circle 50 minus positive 40. The signs are different. Therefore, the problem is going to be 50 minus 40. Because when the signs are different, we write a negative. For the next problem, 50 minus negative 40, the signs are the same. And if the signs are the same, we write a positive, 50 plus 40. For the next one, 20 minus positive 30, signs are different, so it has to be minus, negative. 20 minus 30. And 20 minus negative 30, the signs are the same, so it has to be a positive, 20 plus 30. So once again, I'm going to use the counters method for the first two examples and then number line for the last two examples. So 50 positives, so I'm not going to draw 50 plus signs, but you guys get the point, 50 positives. And then we have 40 negatives. And when you have 50 positives with 40 negatives, you're going to be left with 10 left over in positives. because there's more positives than negatives. For the next problem, we have 50 positives. And then we have another 40 positives, so they go in the same row, all in the positive section. And you're left with 90 positive. On a number line, we start at 0. We go 20 positive, so plus 20. And then we go back 30, because we're subtracting 30. And we're going to be left with an answer that is negative 10. And then for 20 plus 30, on a number line, we start at positive 20. Start at 0 and go to positive 20. And now we're at 20. And then add 30 more. And now we're at 50. So whether we're doing addition or subtraction, make sure you look at the two signs next to each other. If the signs are the same, then the final sign will be positive, and if the signs are different, then the final sign will be negative. Let's go over some examples of just simplifying, cleaning up the signs. We're not going to solve for these, just cleaning them up. So we have negative 15 plus positive 20. Signs are the same, so the new problem is negative 15 plus 20. Negative 15 plus negative 20. The signs are different, so the sign in the middle will have to be negative. So negative 15 minus 20. Negative 30 plus positive 20. Okay, well the signs are the same, so it has to be a positive. So negative 30 plus 20. And then negative 30 plus negative 25, the signs are different, so it has to be a negative. Negative 30 minus 25. So that's how you simplify it without necessarily needing to solve it. We just need to make sure we get the sign in the middle correct. Okay, for the next problem, some diagram examples. So here's a visual of counters. We want to show as many different addition and subtraction problems we can write for this problem. So we can clearly see that there are 3 positives and 5 negatives. If we want to write addition problems, we can write the following. 3 positives plus 5 negatives. We can also write 5 negatives plus 3 positives. They both equal the same answer, which will be negative 2. So we wrote 2 addition problems. How would we write them in subtraction form? Well, we know that we have 3 positives and we have 5 negatives. That will still give us negative 2. Another way to write a subtraction problem is to think of, well, we have 5 negatives, and since we know to write positives, we need a sign to show the 3 positives. So remember, we always want to look at the signs in the middle, and we can write negative 3. The 2 negatives, the 2 minus signs, turn into a positive because they're the same sign. So negative 5 plus 3 will once again equal to 2. So these are just some different ways of showing how to write addition and subtraction equations for the counters diagram. Now we're going to use the number line diagram to write some addition and subtraction problems. Notice how the bottom arrow is adding 3 and the top arrow is subtracting 9. So if we're adding 3 and then we're subtracting 9, that is one way to write a subtraction problem. Adding 3 and subtracting 9. And that will give us -6 as the final answer. Another way to write a subtraction problem is that we know we have -9, but we need to somehow show the +3. So we can do that by writing minus -3, because these two signs in the middle will turn into a +3. So -9 minus -3 is also equal to -6. For addition, well, we know that we have +3 plus -9. That's going to equal -6. And then you can write it in reverse. We have -9, so looking at the top arrow first, adding -3. That will also give us -6. For the worksheet, you're going to be working in pairs or as a group. Please raise your hand when both you and your partner have reached the bottom of the page for a checkpoint. And if an adult signs your worksheet at the bottom of the page, that shows that you demonstrated mastery. The link is provided for integer operations number 2 worksheet. When you're done with the worksheet, please make sure you work independently on the exit ticket. If you're not done with the worksheet, you think that you've gone far enough to do the exit ticket, then go ahead and do the exit ticket. I would say far enough is at least half the page. It is graded for accuracy. Please make sure you fill out the Google form. And in your planner, please write down integer operations number 2 and the exit ticket for today, 3.1. And if you would like to do any extra credit to make up for points or earn extra points, you can choose between 2 different IXLs. Subtract integers using a number line and subtract integers. You must score at least a 90 and submit a screenshot on Google Classroom to get credit. Should you have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to ask in class, via email. Take care and have a nice day.